Hello, Drawing and Painting 3. So, I need you to trace. Like I tell my daughters every day, there's multiple solutions to every single problem. This first video is the solution that shows you what you need to do in the most clear way. So it's the easiest video for me to make to show you what I want you to do. And then there's going to be at least 3, if not 4 more videos showing you other ways that you can get to what I want you to do. So the first way to do this, process number 1, that's a possibility, is that I want you to trace the highlights, the lights, the midtones, the darks, and the darkest darks. So one way you can do that is print a photo. It can be in black and white, it can be in color, and then put a piece of acetate, right? This clear stuff that hopefully is in your bag. If it's not in your bag, I can make arrangements for you to get some. So the first thing you're gonna do is really look and study your photograph and say, where are the brightest highlights? Where is it the lightest lights? Now there's gonna be the fewest number of lightest lights and the fewest numbers of darkest darks. So I'm just gonna go in here and I'm gonna trace my brightest lights. All right, so wherever I see things are the absolute lightest, all right? So I'm gonna just do a couple of these. I feel like this cheek. I'm gonna look at the scarf and see where is it the lightest. I'm kind of thinking I should have chose over here instead. So if you notice, I'm using a Sharpie. If you have your pens are another good choice too. So I'm gonna go through and normally it doesn't matter what I normally do, all right? So I'm gonna just go through and I'm gonna do all of my lightest lights. I have currently not gotten all of my lightest lights, but that's because I need to make this to a 5-minute video for it to work best. So I'm gonna stop, I see some lightest lights on there. I see it right there. See, I got that little glimmer in my eye there. Try to make it so that when you're looking at this, you're outlining the shapes, all right? So I'm gonna go for my lightest lights. I'm gonna make sure that everything is a shape. Things work best when they're a shape. And I still have more highest highlights, a couple more, but I don't, like I said, I don't wanna waste your time. Also, one reason to trace is to give yourself hand memory. One option for this assignment is not to trace at all and just draw the highlights that you see. The tracing just kind of helps you think about what are your brightest lights. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is we're gonna pretend that I have all of my lightest lights done. We're gonna pretend, and I'm gonna move on. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look for my lights, right? So then I'm gonna draw shapes around my lights. And one thing that's really tricky about the whites of the eyes is that, and you wanna do this carefully, right? You don't wanna go speed through, because the more accurately you have the shapes, the better you are in the future. So just keep in mind, you're gonna do all your lights, right? And even if see here, I've got a light here, right? And it overlaps with my highlight in the center, right? So I'm gonna just keep going. I'm once again gonna pretend that I have all my lights. I also my lights, not my lightest lights, but my lights. So I had my highlights and now I'm doing my light area. And if you can see, and then sometimes it gets a little, you just have to kind of make a decision all right, where is the midtone versus the light in here? I think I'm gonna make it so it goes here. Sometimes there's no sometimes it fades, so there's no clear distinction. So you just kind of have to decide. So I want you to keep drawing those shapes. So once you feel like you have all of your lights, which I'm missing a giant one on the forehead, so I'm gonna stop there. I'm gonna make sure I do that one before I stop, right? So once again, I don't have all of my lights in, but once again, I'm trying to make this a 5-minute video. Oops, and we're already at 4, so it's probably gonna be a 10-minute video. Next step, okay, I've gotten all of my lights, is now I wanna go in for my midtones, right? So I'm gonna go in. Once again, I've not gotten all my highlights or my midtones, but I wanna go in and I wanna start creating shapes that are my midtones. If you notice, I'm slowly going over the face so that every piece of value has a shape to it. right? Once again, I have more. Ooh, some of these things I also should have gone back. Another thing you can do is you can also use your colored pens too, all right? So for me, that should have been a light, and this is kind of where my mid-tone comes in, all right? So now we're gonna pretend that I did all of my midtones. We're just gonna do the forehead one real quick. All right, we're gonna pretend I've done all of my midtones. All right, not all of them are done, but we're gonna pretend for the sake of time. All right, next thing I'm gonna go do is I'm gonna find not my darkest darks, but my dark, right? So I've got like a big, huge section of my face that's in dark. And one reason I chose this photo, right, not the most becoming photo of me, right, is the fact that it's got a really strong light source. And that's what I was looking for. I was looking for a really strong light source. And so I'm currently like outlining my darks. We're gonna pretend that I outlined all of my darks, because guess what we're gonna do after we do all of our darks? I'm gonna outline this highlight that was over there. I'm gonna now go do my darkest darks. So I do my darks, and then I look at those places where it's like super dark, right? Like always inside the nostril. Like inside the nostril is one of the darkest places on your face. If you can see, there's also usually a dark, because you're like, see here your chin has like a ball. This part then usually has a little bit of shadow because your lips are popping out, and you have your lower lip curving out and your upper lip moving in, except for that little bit right there. And so I'm just gonna do the best that I can, and we're gonna pretend now that I've gone over my entire face. And if you notice, even just with what I did there, you can see that a face is starting to emerge. So when I go through and do all of them, I will have a value portrait of myself, or at least I've mapped out, let's use the word specifically, I've mapped out all of my values. So the first step in this assignment is on a piece of paper to map out all of your values. One technique is the acetate. I'm gonna make some videos to show you the other techniques now.